For years, the public has demanded the release of the Epstein files, a trove of court documents and evidence linking the late sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein to powerful figures around the world. Now they are back in the spotlight. Donald Trump, who once promised to expose it all, is now dodging question, backing away from his campaign pledge to reveal the truth.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
But a sex trafficking operation as vast as Jeffrey Epstein's doesn't run on silence alone, it runs on money. At the time when the disgraced financier was found dead at 66 in a Manhattan jail cell in August 2019, Epstein's net worth was around roughly $560 million. And money always leaves a trail. Today, we follow the money. We look into the financial footprints of Epstein's empire to uncover who founded it, who benefited from it, and what the money reveals. But first, let's start from the beginning. Jeffrey Epstein was born in 1953 in New York. He attended the Curran Institute of Mathematical Science at New York University, studying mathematical physiology, but left without receiving a degree in June 1974. At age 21, Epstein started working as a physics and mathematics teacher for teens at the Dalton School on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, one of New York's most prestigious prep schools. He left in 1976 with an administrator of the school telling the New York Times he dismissed Epstein for poor performance. But at Dalton, he met Bear Stearns CEO Alan Greenberg, which led to a job at the investment bank before Bear Stearns collapsed in 2008 following the housing crash. The good old days when you could find a job as an investment banker just because you knew a guy. The experience as a banker and investment banker opened the door to Jeffrey Epstein to become a money manager for billionaires and millionaires. Pretty much when you become so rich, you need to pay someone full time to just manage your money and tell you how to spend your money. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. One of the people Epstein worked for was Leon Black, the chairman of Apollo Global Management, a private equity firm. I present you with Exhibit A. Is that how you say it? I don't know, I'm not a lawyer. The United States Committee on Finance has been investigating on Leon Black since 2022. And during this time, the committee uncovered that Epstein was paid $158 million by Black between 2012 and 2017 for services related to a variety of tax and estate planning matters, an amount that appears to far exceed that paid by Black to his other professional advisors. This amount also appears well in excess of the expected compensation for estate planning services, particularly in a case where Epstein's work was required to be vetted by other legal and accounting professionals, at the time was viewed as not useful and included instances of substantial misinterpretation of applicable tax laws. Why would someone pay a college dropout more than a tax attorney? Let's keep reading. Let's see where we're going with this. In 2025, the Committee on Finance have uncovered new evidence, including a thorough review of federal government records indicating the money paid by Black to Epstein was used to finance Epstein's sex trafficking operations, and that the true amount Black paid to Epstein is actually significantly higher than previously known. What does it all mean? One of the biggest challenges that criminals face is justifying the movement of money. And this is where money laundering come into place. I think that a common misconception is that money laundering is something that happens after a crime, while instead money laundering is an integral part of criminal activities, is the backbone of criminal activities. Without money laundering, criminal activities wouldn't even be possible. Let's make an example. We have two guys, we'll call them one Epstein and the other Black. just two names, random names. Epstein has some illicit goods that he wants to sell. Girls, slaves, for example. Black, he wants to buy the goods that Epstein wants to sell. But Epstein cannot just make an invoice for Black. And Black, he can't just make a wire transfer to Epstein for what he wants to sell because it's illegal. It's more complex than this. They'll be caught right away. So Black hire Epstein for something else, pretending that Epstein will give them another service. Something silly, something that nobody cares about. Tax advice, for example. And it doesn't matter that Epstein doesn't know anything about tax and he cannot possibly provide tax advice. Nobody will notice, don't worry. So Epstein issued an invoice for Black. Ordinarily, a tax advice invoice could be, let's say, $1,000. But Epstein issued an invoice for $100,000 because the price that Black is paying is not just for the tax advice, it's for the goods, the illegal goods that Epstein is selling. Black pays the invoice, and this large sum appears to be payment for legitimate service, effectively disguising the illicit transaction. Through this method, money and illegal goods are exchanged while creating a cover of legitimacy. Even with this elaborated scheme, someone should have noticed eventually that Epstein was overpaid for his services. And here's a troubling truth. Many banks have been complicit with Epstein's for years. Under anti-money laundering laws in the US and in most countries in the world, when a financial institutions like a bank suspect that a customer is up to something dodgy, for example, if they see that a customer is paying tax advice 10 times more than what tax advice should cost or 20 times more of what it should cost, they should file a suspicious activity report to the competent authorities. In the case of Jeffrey Epstein, many banks have closed a blind eye, have pretended not to see that, have not filed suspicious activity reports for years. A recent investigation from Democratic Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon uncovered $1.5 billion in suspicious transactions going through 4 banks. The transactions included wire transfer from wealthy figures over the sale of artwork, fees paid to Epstein, and payment to several women. The bank appeared to have waited until Epstein's arrest on federal charges to flag the transactions, therefore preferring to keep a good relationship with Epstein than complying with the law. The largest flagged suspicious activity report was filed in 2019 by JP Morgan for $1.1 billion. The other banks involved are Deutsche Bank, Bank of New York Mellon, and the Bank of America. Epstein had a long-lasting relationship with JP Morgan, which lended Epstein money and regularly let him withdraw a large sum of cash from 1998 until August 2013. Epstein was convicted of procuring a child for prostitution and various other allegations already in 2008, and the bank should have considered Epstein as a high-risk customer and apply a high standard of monitoring since then, but it didn't. Because of this, Epstein was a good customer, he was a rich customer, and JP Morgan didn't want to compromise its relationship with him. In 2023, a class action led by nearly 200 of Epstein victims obtained $290 million in compensation by JP Morgan as the bank failed to conduct appropriate customer due diligence and ignored red flags, including frequent cash withdrawals. After Epstein was kicked out of JP Morgan in 2013, he knocked at the door of the Deutsche Bank, which said, "Welcome, Mr. Epstein," and maintained the relationship with him until 2018. Deutsche Bank was fined $150 million in 2020. What can we learn from this study? Anti-money laundering legislation are very important, and they can have a crucial role in monitoring client transactions and reporting suspicious transactions to the authorities. This information is useful to financial intelligence investigators to bring down criminals' operations. In the case of Jeffrey Epstein's, banks have turned a blind eye on Epstein operations even when he was already a high-risk customer because of his convictions. Even more troubling, some bankers might have been complicit with Epstein for more personal reasons. Jess Staley, the former boss of Barclays, has been accused of holding discussions with Epstein about photographs of young women in sexually suggestive poses. Staley is accused in a lawsuit of exchanging more than 1,200 emails with Epstein, including messages about women who they referred to by the names of Disney princesses that Epstein allegedly procured for Staley. The lawsuit is still underway. Staley is banned for life to hold senior financial leadership position in London because of his conduct. The money drill ends here for today. I'm sure there will be more developments as the investigation keeps unfolding. My name is Julia from Total AML. In my day job, I'm an anti-money laundering consultant. I help businesses comply with anti-money laundering laws. And here on YouTube, I talk about money laundering, anti-money laundering, financial crimes, all of this fun stuff. If you liked this video, please comment, like, subscribe. All of these things really help the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.